What's up guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today we're going to be talking about JavaScript functions. And if you don't know what a function is, this is what it looks like. And it's basically a block of code that we create to perform a particular task. And now to create a function, what we're going to do is type in function. And then after that, we're going to write the name of it. So let's just write my function. And if you want to, you can name it something different. And so after this, we're gonna do two round brackets like this, and then we're gonna do the curly brackets. And so now we're gonna open the curly brackets, and this is this is what a function looks like. And now we're gonna write some code in it. So let's actually log out hello world or something else. So let's do hello world. And now under the function, or what we're gonna do is we're gonna call it, because if we don't, then it's not gonna work. So to call a function, what we're gonna do is get the name of it. So if you want to, you could just copy this and paste this under, and then use the round brackets and then a semicolon. And so what we have done here is we have created a function named my function. And then what we do in it is we print out hello world. And then under here, we are going to call it. So let's actually see if it works. So let's open our HTML file, and as you can see, it works. And you can also call a function on top of, well, creating it. So something like this. So you can call your function first and then create it under if you really want to. And if we go back, you can see that it still works even when I reload the page. And a pretty cool thing we can do is we can go here between our brackets here, and we can create variables. So let's actually do that. And we're gonna name our first one num1, and we can create multiples. So let's create 2. And then the second one is gonna be num2. And if we hover here, you can see that it says that num1 is declared, but its value is never read. So that means that we have set a variable, but we've never used it. So what we could do is we can actually return. So return our num1 plus our num2. And this will make sense in a bit. So what's happening here is we're creating a function. Let's actually rename it. So we can do something like addition. And so this could be like a calculator function, basically. It's going to be adding different numbers. So we have a function which is named addition, and we have two variables inside of it. We have our num1 and then our num2. And then when we go here, you can see that it says return num1 plus num2. And now when we call it, let's take a look. You can see that we get an error, and that's because that doesn't exist. And if we go back, you can see that nothing is happening. And that's actually because we have to set our num1 and num2 when we call our function. So let's set our num1 first, and let's set it to 5. And then let's set our second one to, let's do 8. And you can see that it says here that addition num1 and then num2, and yeah, so on. But yeah, when we go back, you can see that it says nothing. And that's because we have to say something, we need to do something like this. So we have to return console.log and then put our numbers here. And so now when we go back, you can see that we get the result. And we can also change this to whatever we want, obviously. So we can do something like this. Let's make it a bit bigger. And you can see that it works. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create two variables. So let's do that. I'm going to create x and y. So let x, that's going to be some random number. So 81. And we can do let y, set it to, why not, 150. So what we're going to do is we're going to change these numbers to x and y, or the names of the variables that you've created. And when we go back here, you can see that it still works. And what we could also do is we can change the name from x and y to num1 and num2, and it's still going to work the same way. It's going to make more sense. So there we go. It still works. Now that we know how to create a function and call it, what we're going to do is we're going to create another one, and it's going to be a one for subtracting numbers. And I'm going to actually change the name of the function to add to make it a bit more simple. And if you feel like doing a challenge right now, then try making a subtraction function by yourself. But if not, then let's do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in function, and then we're going to do subtract. And now inside we're going to have num1 and num2, curly brackets, and then inside we're going to return we're going to return our log. We're going to return our num1 minus our num2, like this. And so what we're going to do is we're going to actually call it here. So let's do subtraction, and we're going to call it so num1 and num2. And actually, because our num1 is smaller than our num2, we can just change it. If you don't mind having a negative number, then you can keep it, but there we go. We have 69. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add some text so that we know what our num1 and num2 is and what our function is. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our console.log here. And actually, no, let's create a let first, and that's going to be our result. So result, that's going to be equal to num1 plus our num2. And so we can just print out our result here. But before we actually do that, what we're going to do is we're going to type in num1 plus, and then our plus sign because we're adding. And then we're going to do num2. And then we're going to do the equal sign. And then we're going to do our result. So what we can do now is do the same thing here. So let's result, and that's going to be equal to our num1 minus num2. So we can just copy this and do this, and then change our plus here to minus, and then when we go back, we can see that it works, and we can actually tell what we're doing here. And so what we're going to do now is create a function that's going to run both of these functions. And so yeah, let's do that. So we can actually just remove this, and let's name it calculator. So calculator, right? And what we're going to do here is we're going to actually do num1 and num2, and we are going to call both of our functions. So we're going to call add and subtract like this, and we're just going to place num1 and num2, and then we can just copy this, put it here. And if you want to, you can create other functions. So you can create multiplying, dividing, and so on. But for this video, we're just gonna do adding and subtracting. And so now what we can do is we can just call our calculator function. And so we're gonna do this, num1 and num2, and this looks a lot cleaner. So now we can just call one function instead of calling two. And so here's what's happening. So we have created two variables, num1 and num2, and we can change it whenever we want. And so under here, we are calling a function which is called calculator, and we're putting our num1 and num2 here. And so inside of our function here, we are calling this function and this function. And so it's basically going to add and subtract our numbers and tell us the results. So let's actually go back here, and you can see that it still works perfectly fine. And let's actually change our numbers. So we can just set it to random stuff. So something like this, and you can see that it's still gonna work. And just for fun, if you want to, like I said before, you can create different functions or actually just add functions, and you can use this as a calculator. And so this could be for this video. If you guys have any questions, then leave a comment down below. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and see you next video.